Have you ever felt like you're living in a different time zone from everyone else? You know that feeling when everyone's rushing to Friday night parties, but you're already planning next month's quiet retreat? Or when folks are making snap decisions while you're still processing a conversation from last week? If you've ever wondered why you seem to march to the beat of a completely different drummer, you might just be experiencing what it's like to have an INFJ soul that operates on its own unique timeline. Here's the thing. If you're an INFJ, you're not broken, weird, or antisocial. You're simply wired to experience time, relationships, and life itself through a completely different lens. And today, we're going to dive deep into why your internal clock ticks differently from about 98% of the population. The INFJ time warp, when your mind lives in multiple dimensions. Let's get real for a second. While most people are living firmly in the present moment, INFJs are like time travelers who've got one foot in the past, another in the future, and somehow they're trying to navigate the present with whatever limbs they've got left. It's not that they can't focus on the here and now. It's just that their minds naturally weave between different timelines like they're conducting some sort of cosmic orchestra. You see, the INFJ brain doesn't just process information linearly. When something happens today, an INFJ immediately connects it to something that happened 5 years ago, then project how it might affect things 10 years from now. They're constantly creating these intricate webs of meaning that span across time. It's exhausting, sure, but it's also what gives them that almost psychic ability to predict outcomes and understand patterns that others miss. This temporal flexibility isn't just some party trick, though. It fundamentally changes how INFJs experience everyday life. While their coworker might be stressed about tomorrow's deadline, the INFJ is already thinking about how this project fits into the company's 5-year plan and what it means for humanity's evolution. Yeah, it sounds dramatic, but that's genuinely how their minds work. The depth before speed phenomenon. Now, here's where things get really interesting. In our fast-paced, instant gratification world, INFJs stick out like sore thumbs because they absolutely refuse to rush their processing. And I mean refuse. You could put a gun to their head, please don't, and they still wouldn't be able to give you a snap decision about something that matters. This isn't stubbornness, it's necessity. The INFJ mind needs to examine every angle, consider every possibility, and feel out every emotional nuance before they can move forward. They're like deep-sea divers while everyone else is jet skiing on the surface. Sure, jet skiing looks more fun and exciting, but those divers are discovering treasures that surface dwellers will never even know exist. Think about it this way. When an INFJ meets someone new, they're not just noting their appearance and making small talk. They're analyzing micro-expressions, sensing emotional undercurrents, picking up on unspoken tensions, and probably getting a vague sense of this person's childhood trauma. All of this happens simultaneously, and it takes time to process. So while everyone else has already decided whether they like the new person based on their shoes or their joke about the weather, the INFJ is still downloading data like they're on dial-up internet in a fiber optic world. The emotional time lag that nobody talks about. Okay, let's address the elephant in the room. That weird delayed emotional reaction thing that INFJs do. You know what I'm talking about. Something significant happens. Everyone around them is freaking out or celebrating, and the INFJ is just standing there like a robot, seemingly unaffected. Then, 3 days later, they're sobbing in their car over a sandwich commercial because their emotions finally caught up with them. This emotional time lag isn't a malfunction. It's actually a sophisticated protective mechanism. INFJs feel everything so deeply that if they processed emotions in real time like most folks, they'd be constantly overwhelmed. So their psyche developed this clever little delay system. The initial experience gets stored in some sort of emotional waiting room, while their conscious mind deals with the immediate situation. Then, when they're alone and safe, usually at the most inconvenient time possible, those emotions come flooding in like a dam burst. This is why INFJs might seem cold or detached during crises, but then need 3 weeks of hermit time afterward to recover. They're not being dramatic. They're literally processing everything that everyone else dealt with in the moment. It's like emotional jet lag, except instead of crossing time zones, They're crossing between their inner and outer worlds. The future living paradox. Here's a mind bender for you. INFJs spend so much time living in the future that they sometimes forget to actually create it. They've got this incredible ability to envision detailed, complex futures, not just for themselves, but for everyone around them. They can see potential paths branching out like some sort of cosmic decision tree, each one vivid and real in their minds. But here's the kicker, because they can see all these possible futures so clearly, they sometimes get paralyzed by choice. Or worse, they become so attached to one particular vision that they forget it hasn't actually happened yet. I can't tell you how many INFJs I've met who are genuinely surprised when reality doesn't match the elaborate scenario they constructed in their heads. It's like they're constantly living in a state of déjà vu, except for things that haven't happened yet. This future living tendency also explains why INFJs often seem wise beyond their years. They've already mentally lived through scenarios dozens of times before they actually happen. By the time a situation occurs in real life, they've already processed it, analyzed it, learned from it, and moved on, all in their heads. It's efficient, sure, but it can also make them feel disconnected from the present moment and the people living in it. The sacred pause. Why INFJs need processing time. You ever notice how INFJs have this thing where they just stop? Like mid-conversation, they'll get this distant look in their eyes, and you can practically see the gears turning in their head. That's not rudeness or disinterest. That's what I call the sacred pause, and it's absolutely essential for INFJ functioning. During these pauses, INFJs are doing some serious heavy lifting. They're cross-referencing new information with their vast internal database, checking it against their value system, running it through their intuition filter, and probably having a quick consultation with their future self. It's like watching a computer run a complex algorithm, except the computer is made of feelings and cosmic awareness. The problem is the world doesn't usually wait for these pauses. Conversations move on, decisions get made, and the INFJ is left feeling rushed and unheard. This is why so many INFJs prefer written communication, emails, texts, letters carved in stone, whatever gives them time to fully process before responding. It's not that they're antisocial. They just need that buffer time to translate their deep, complex thoughts into something the rest of us can understand. The relationship timeline mismatch. Oh boy, relationships. This is where the INFJ's different clock really throws a wrench in the works. See, when an INFJ connects with someone, and I mean really connects, they immediately fast forward to seeing the full potential of that relationship. They're not just going on a first date. They're simultaneously experiencing every possible future with this person, from marriage and kids to bitter divorce, and everything in between. Meanwhile, their date is just trying to figure out if they should order dessert. This timeline mismatch creates all sorts of problems. INFJs often come across as too intense too quickly because they're operating from a place of deep knowing while everyone else is still in the getting to know you phase. They've already decided if someone is their person while that person is still trying to remember their last name. It's not creepy, okay, maybe a little, it's just that their intuition works faster than social conventions allow. On the flip side, when INFJs decide someone isn't right for them, they can seem to cut people off cold. But from their perspective, they've already seen how things will play out, processed the end of the relationship, grieved it, and moved on. They're not being cruel. They're just operating on a different timeline where the relationship already ended 3 months ago in their head. The energy management clock. Let's talk about energy, because INFJs manage there's like they're preparing for some sort of social apocalypse. While extroverts might run on a daily energy cycle. Wake up, spend energy, sleep, repeat. INFJs are operating on weekly, monthly, or even seasonal cycles. They might hermit for 3 weeks straight, barely leaving their house, then suddenly emerge ready to solve world hunger and attend every social event in a 50-mile radius. It's not bipolar disorder, though it might look like it from the outside. It's just their natural rhythm. They're like social camels, storing up energy during their alone time so they could traverse the desert of human interaction when necessary. This is why INFJs often seem to disappear for chunks of time. They're not ghosting you, probably. They're just in a different phase of their energy cycle. They might be in what I call input mode, where they're absorbing information, processing experiences, and recharging their batteries. Then they'll switch to output mode, where they're ready to share their insights, connect with people, and generally pretend to be a normal human being. The deep work rhythm. When it comes to work and creativity, INFJs don't just march to a different drummer. They're playing an entirely different instrument. While the corporate world runs on 9-to-5 schedules and quarterly reports, INFJs are operating on some sort of mysterious cosmic calendar that only they can read. They might go months without producing anything visible, and then suddenly, in one inspired weekend, they'll create something that would take others months to accomplish. It's not procrastination. Okay, sometimes it's procrastination, but more often it's because they're doing all the work internally before they ever put pen to paper or fingers to keyboard. This deep work rhythm means INFJs often struggle in traditional work environments. They can't just turn creativity on and off like a faucet. They need long, uninterrupted stretches of time to dive deep into their work. A single interruption doesn't just break their concentration, it pulls them out of the deep waters they were exploring, and it might take hours or even days to get back to that depth. The intuition timeline, knowing before understanding. Here's something that'll bake your noodle. INFJs often know things before they understand them. Their intuition delivers conclusions like Amazon Prime, fast and without explanation of how it got there. They'll have a strong feeling about a person or situation and then spend the next weeks, months, or even years gathering the evidence to support what they already knew. This reverse-engineered understanding makes INFJs seem psychic, but really, they're just operating on a different informational timeline. While most people gather evidence first and then form conclusions, INFJs receive the conclusion first and then work backward to understand why. It's like reading a mystery novel backward. You know who the killer is, but you're reading to find out how they did it. This can be incredibly frustrating for INFJs, especially when they're trying to warn others about something they can sense coming. They're standing there like some sort of discount prophet, trying to explain a feeling they don't fully understand themselves, while everyone else is asking for logical proof that doesn't exist yet. By the time the proof arrives, it's usually too late, and the INFJ is left with the hollow satisfaction of being right and the exhaustion of not being heard. The healing timeline that tests everyone's patience. When INFJs get hurt, and I mean really hurt, they don't heal on anyone else's schedule. While some folks can have a good cry, eat some ice cream, and move on with their lives, INFJs enter what I call the cocoon phase. They withdraw completely, sometimes for months, processing not just the current hurt, but every hurt that ever reminded them of this hurt. It's like emotional archaeology. They're not just dealing with the breakup. They're excavating every rejection they've experienced since kindergarten, examining it, understanding its impact, and integrating it into their ever-evolving understanding of themselves and the world. It's thorough, it's necessary, and it's absolutely maddening for anyone waiting for them to just get over it. But here's the beautiful thing about the INFJ healing process. When they finally emerge from their cocoon, they're not just healed, they're transformed. They've used that time to not just recover, but to upgrade their entire operating system. They come back with new boundaries, deeper wisdom, and usually some sort of creative expression of their journey that helps others heal too. The decision-making marathon. Let's be honest, asking an INFJ to make a quick decision is like asking a fish to climb a tree. It's not going to happen, and everyone's just going to end up frustrated. INFJs don't make decisions. They birth them after a long, laborious process that would make actual childbirth look quick and easy. See, when faced with a decision, INFJs don't just consider the practical factors. They're evaluating how each choice aligns with their values, how it'll affect everyone involved, including strangers and future generations, what it means for their life purpose, and probably how it fits into the grand cosmic plan of the universe. No pressure, right? This is why INFJs often miss opportunities that require quick action. By the time they've thoroughly analyzed everything, the moment has passed. But here's the flip side. When an INFJ finally makes a decision, it's usually the right one. They've considered angles that others haven't even discovered yet. Their decisions might be slow, but they're built to last. The pattern recognition time machine. INFJs don't just see patterns. They see patterns across time. It's like they've got this mental spreadsheet that tracks behaviors, events, and outcomes across years or even decades. They'll notice that every time someone says a particular phrase, something specific happens 3 weeks later. Or they'll recognize that a certain combination of events always leads to a particular outcome, even if those events seem completely unrelated to everyone else. This pattern recognition ability means INFJs are often living in multiple timelines simultaneously. They're experiencing the present moment while also remembering when similar patterns occurred in the past and predicting how they'll play out in the future. It's exhausting, but it's also what makes them such good counselors, advisors, and friends. They can spot a toxic pattern from a mile away and usually have a pretty good idea of how to break it. The downside? Sometimes they see patterns that aren't really there, or they become so focused on preventing a predicted outcome that they create a self-fulfilling prophecy. It's the burden of seeing too much. Sometimes you see things that haven't happened yet and might never happen if you just stop looking for them. Conclusion: embracing your different clock. So there you have it. The INFJ soul really does operate on a different clock, and that's not a bug. It's a feature. Sure, it makes life complicated. You're constantly out of sync with the world around you, processing yesterday's conversation while everyone else has moved on to tomorrow's drama. You're living in the future while trying to navigate the present, and don't even get me started on how long it takes you to order from a restaurant menu. But here's what I want you to understand. This different clock isn't something to fix or overcome. It's your superpower. While everyone else is racing through life, you're going deep. While they're making quick decisions they'll regret later, you're crafting choices that align with your soul. While they're having surface-level interactions, you're creating connections that transcend time and space. Your different clock allows you to see things others miss, to understand things others can't grasp, and to create things others never imagined. Yeah, it means you'll always feel a little out of step with the world, but maybe that's because you're not meant to march to their beat. Maybe you're meant to create your own rhythm, one that honors the depth, complexity, and beauty of the INFJ soul. So the next time someone tells you to hurry up, make a quick decision, or asks why you need so much alone time, just smile and remember, you're not broken, you're not too slow, and you're definitely not too much. You're just operating on a different clock, one that measures time in meaning rather than minutes, in depth rather than deadlines, and in transformation rather than transactions. And honestly, the world needs more people who are willing to slow down, go deep, and really understand what's happening beneath the surface. So embrace your different clock, trust your timeline, and know that even if you're out of sync with the world, you're perfectly in tune with yourself. And at the end of the day, isn't that what really matters?